Hello, my name is Cole Orick, and today I want to dive into search engine optimization, or SEO for short. This is a term that has really taken off in the last 5 to 10 years or so, especially with the expansion of the internet and search engines. Now, in general, search engine optimization is basically trying to have your website be the highest ranking website listed on a certain search engine. Now, most people tend to use Google, but obviously there are many different search engines. Now, the thing that's interesting about search engine optimization is that each different website has different algorithms, so you really want to kind of consider what exact search engine you are trying to aim for. Now, to kind of dive deeper into search engine optimization, we kind of look at some beginner tips. And the first tip that I think that was very interesting was kind of choosing your smart keywords. So there's a really interesting thought in business kind of about the long tail. And I learned about it initially with the long tail of demand, but it also relates to search engine optimization. There's so many people that are going to compete, for that top 3 to 5% of keywords. So say you were a food company and you sold burgers. Well, obviously everyone wants their company to come up number one when you search for burgers. But if you really want to reach as many customers as you possibly can, you might talk about a specific type of burger or a specific feature of your burger that's different. And that's really the main thing about the long tail of searches and the long tail of keywords is it's really targeting, that 90 to 95% of the keywords out there that most websites don't try to target because everyone tries to target, like I said, that main percentage. So really, the first really important tip is to choose smart keywords. So the site that I want to dive deeper into is about strength and conditioning. Now, obviously, there's so many things out there about strength and conditioning, but especially now that people are really moving deeper into a lot of the aspects of strength and conditioning with relation to CrossFit and those sorts of things. I want to make a website about strength. I want to title it Strength and Conditioning Ideas. And really, the keywords that I want to dive deeper into are mobility, flexibility, agility, speed, clean protein, and functional muscle. Because there are so many different things out there, strength and conditioning wise, but they're largely about the CrossFit and all these heavy power clean or heavy weightlifting, and there's not a lot out there about a little bit more of the refined side, and that's building muscle and doing so in a way that's very very clean. You're having clean protein, clean supplements, and you're actually adding muscle that's going to be functional and not just bulking up. And so that's the first thing that I kind of want to dive deeper into is some of those keywords. Now, as we dive deeper into some of the other ideas, one that I thought was really interesting was choosing an optimized domain, and that's essentially using your domain as an opportunity to brand yourself. So, if as the example shows, Maya's Flower Shop might have the URL of Maya's Fresh Flowers because you kind of have that as an opportunity to brand yourself and to get your company out there. And really, the last important basic tip was to optimize for mobile devices. So many people are using their mobile phones to access the internet, so it's really important that your website does the same. Now, the next tip that I found really interesting was attracting the right people. So you really have to consider, in business in general, but especially when it comes to the usage of internet and Google and keywords, is that you have to know what exact customer you're trying to reach. So for my website, I might be trying to reach a specific, I might be trying to reach strength and conditioning coaches, athletes who potentially want to work out with either me or they just want workout tips, or people who are kind of diving deeper into strength and conditioning. But I don't want to simply try to reach out to everyone who might work out, right? I want to reach out to specific strength and conditioning people who are very very interested in the exact topics that I want to inform people on. So again, it really doesn't do anybody very much good if I just get a bunch of clicks on my website, but I don't get any conversions and people staying on my website. So I have to understand exactly the customer that I'm trying to reach. As I move on, it's very, very important to kind of consider a few different things, but especially, optimizing your website content. I thought it's a very, very important thing. There's so many websites out there that just throw a bunch of different things on there, and they try to kind of overload the user, and they just put so much information out there, it just becomes too much to understand. So it's really, really important to have a very clear and concise message with your website. Understand your keywords, target those keywords, but like I said, you don't want to overload the consumer. Kind of diving deeper into another website that had a few ideas. I thought there was an interesting concept called a black hat versus a white hat strategy of search engine optimization. The black hat strategy is essentially just putting as much content on there and adding as many potential hits for your keywords. But the main problem with this is, like I said, this doesn't really lead to actual conversion. Basically, the black hat strategy is reaching out to basically just trying to optimize your website so your keywords are on the top click, but you don't really think about the human aspect. So the white hat strategy is actually providing relevant content, well-labeled images, stuff that's relevant to the consumer. So the consumer is actually going to look at your website and actually want to stay there. And like I said, you can have a lot higher chance of getting your product either sold or your information out there with the white hat strategy. So it's important to understand which one you want, but I tend to think that most people would want the white hat strategy. Now, again, there's really a lot of different things that you can do when it comes to search engine optimization. The topic that I want to dive deeper into, like I discussed, is strength and conditioning and specific ideas for that with mobility, flexibility, agility, speed work, and clean protein and functional muscle. The other website that I looked at, excuse me, let me pull it up here, was Google. They actually have an entire guide on basically search engine optimization. And I thought one interesting tip that they had was having your URLs convey your content information. So a lot of URLs will have, like this shows right here, just a bunch of numbers and stuff like that doesn't really help anything. But using that URL, just like that initial guide talked about, you can have brandonsbaseballcards.com, but then also have the specific HTML with, again, more keywords and something that's actually going to be relevant to the consumer. So really, the things that I'm going to take into consideration moving into my topic is understanding exactly who my target market is, what I want them to kind of come away with from my website, and how I'm going to get them to stay. So it's using those very specific keywords. I'm going to try to target the consumer that's going to actually kind of be a little bit more advanced on the topic, but also wants to dive deeper into it. I think that's a great way. You reach a broad number of people, but it's also people who are actually going to stay on your website. So really, the main thing about search engine optimization, it is the number one way that you're going to get people to actually see your information, buy your product, because that's how they're going to get to your website. But it's very important to understand the strategies it takes to get them to stay there and to continue to come back and to stay on your website for long periods of time. So these other websites were very, very interesting, and this whole Google thing is very, very long and detailed, and there's a lot of different thoughts on here. But it's really important to consider some very simple things. And the things that I'm going to focus on, again, are those keywords, making sure my URL, my titles are very clean, concise. My website's very simple, straight to the point, and it gets everything across very, very quickly. I think this is going to be the best way for me to be able to reach the biggest market I can, but also have, like I said, that click rate is going to not only be there, but it's going to have a higher conversion rate and be able to have people actually stay on my website. So this search engine guide that we got from Wix is very, very interesting, and there's a lot of different ideas, and I think it's a very, very great starting point. But overall, search engine optimization is something that every business must consider when they build their website, and they really need to understand what they want their customer to come away with when they see their site, and how they get customers to stay on their website, buy their product, and get their information out there. So this is a very interesting kind of beginning into search engine optimization, and I look forward to building more of an understanding.